everyone, welcome to the latest Shakti Temple talk. I feel like it's been a little while since I did the last one, so here we are again. Thank you for being with me. Today's topic is a huge one that I could talk for so long about, and maybe I will do a longer talk at some point in one of my Facebook Lives. I'm going to start doing Facebook Lives in my group, Temple Arts Collective, so I'll share the link for that here, and every Friday, which is Devi Venus Friday, it's the day of Venus and the day of Devi, I'm going to be doing Facebook Lives in the Temple Arts Collective, so you are welcome to join me there for longer discussions. So today's topic is about reconciling sex and spirit. And what's very, very important about this at this time is that for centuries now, there has been somehow infiltrated into our belief system that these two things cannot coexist, that sex and spirit cannot coexist. And this is the entire basis around what I call Neo or Western Tantra, is this kind of reconciliation. And what I want to speak to first and foremost is that there is a discrepancy between traditional classical Tantra, what it actually is, and this kind of Western Neo-Tantra that's so fixated on the sexual. But I feel like there is a good reason for that fixation, and also for the potential of healing and reconciliation that does lie within our now Western Tantra. I think what I've learned to accept is that there are now it's like a lineage. There's like two different lineages of Tantra now. And very much the Western Tantra uses the principles of Eastern Tantra or classical Tantra within it, because it can be applied there. And so Tantra, in essence, I'm sure many of you have heard me say this a million times, but I just love breaking down the word Tantra, and it's literally the liberation of energy, what energy is possibly more powerful within ourselves and on planet Earth. Everything is created from this energy. It's our sexual energy. It's a very, very powerful energy. And if we have all kinds of kinks around this energy, we simply cannot reach liberation. We cannot liberate that energy. And when that energy is liberated, then we have the opportunity for the next part of the meaning of Tantra, which is the expansion of consciousness, or our freedom, right? The freedom of our awareness. And so that is the spirit. So the liberation of energy is the sex. Although that's not the only energy, I don't want to limit us there, but for the sake of this specific talk, we're going to say that's sexual energy. Then we have the expansion of consciousness. Well, that is spirit. So one is leading to the other. And, we are seeing this all over the place right now. There has been such a strong belief system that these two things, that sex is impure, that, we must clean ourselves before we go to temple, or we must confess our sins, or, any number of things that make us feel ashamed of very literally our humanity. If we are ashamed of the energy that brought us here, we are literally ashamed of our very existence. And hence we see this consumerist culture that's constantly trying to prove its right to exist. Maybe if I acquire this, maybe if I become this. This all really stems from our dissociation with our sex, with that energy that brought us here. And I can pretty much guarantee you that no matter how much sexual healing, sexual work anybody's done, there's still further to go. There's still further to go to reconcile this relationship, because it has been so many centuries now of repression and suppression and distortion and confusion around this energy. And we are just now specifically in Western culture, starting to say, hey, this energy is actually very holy and very sacred, not separate from the sacred. And so what happens when we have a distortion with our sexual energy is it will come out in either suppression, which, you know, we see this a lot in Eastern cultures where it's that energy is suppressed, and what we see where it's suppressed is it starts coming out in all these backwards ways, you know, because energy by nature needs to move. It needs to be able to change and transform and sublimate. And if we're pressing this energy down and trying to contain it, eventually it's going to move, but it's not going to move consciously. It's going to move unconsciously, which is why we see in, for instance, India, the land that birthed the system of Tantra, they have one of the biggest issues of rape in all the world. So what happens when you start to suppress and confuse and distort this energy is that it comes out with child abuse, sexual abuse, it comes out with rape, it comes out with harming of the self, it comes out in these fixations and obsessions. So that's not the way to go. And we see that. And we also see this in the phenomenon that's been taking place with so many spiritual teachers going down in flames because all of a sudden we find all these sexual scandals. Well, this is why we need to reconcile that, yes, you can be spiritual. In fact, you can achieve great heights of consciousness and still be a sexual being. These things don't need to be separate. We don't need to be having these falls from grace. We don't need spiritual teachers to pretend that they've transcended their sexual urges, only to find out that not only have they not done that, but they've been in this suppressive state where that energy's actually been coming out in really backwards, twisted, and power, in these weird power structures. So clearly that's not working. I think where we're at as a humanity is like, what we have been doing is not working. So we need to figure out something else. We need to figure out a new context to be in relationship with this energy. So that's the suppressive side of things. Now let's look to the other side, because there is another side, and we see this more in the West, which is an obsession, like an overindulgence, it's like, okay, so we took the lid off the suppression and now it's like the floodgates have opened. And this is kind of how Western Tantra came into existence in the first place. I believe it was mostly through Osho who kind of opened these teachings in this way. And his theory was that, let's just get this out of our system. It's been suppressed. Now we need to express, because that is the antidote to suppression, is expression. So let's just go for it, and then we'll get over it and be able to move on to the next step. But what happened is people didn't move into the next step. They just, woo! It was like a heyday, like the 60s. We saw what happened in the 60s. So then there's this over-sexualization, and we now see this in marketing in the West. It's in consumer culture. Sex sells. People are obsessed with sex now because it's been like a drought, and now the floodgates have opened, and now it's like a free-for-all heyday. Now, this also isn't necessarily working, because here we also see a lot of this is a strong word to use, but it's the word that's coming, but this vampirism, where it's just like this insatiable take, like constantly thirsty. And this energy, this over-expression, is showing up a lot in the neo-tantric scenes, where it's like many people are entering into those scenes with this insatiable thirst, and they're actually using it to justify their overuse and even sometimes abuse of this energy. So we're still in a distortion over here. Too much and too little. And if we are true tantric practitioners, we are working diligently to find that place where we are simply natural. We go through all of these extraneous practices. We go into all of these realms simply to become natural again. Because this isn't natural, and this also isn't natural. Where we can align our sex with our spirit is in the center, the central channel. This is the pathway. And to come here, we might have to go here, and then we might have to go here, and then we might do some of this, and eventually we find that place. And it is here that we start to understand the preciousness of this energy. It's here that we come to understand the razor's edge that we're walking as sexual beings. And that razor's edge is that this energy can slip into some of the ugliest, most distorted expressions of humanity, or it can bring us into the realm of the gods. It can bring us into that place of depth, of communion, that is the most beautiful expression of our human nature. And that is where we want to go. And when we're in over suppressive or over expressive realms with this energy, we tend to be dancing in this realm where there can be a lot of distortion and confusion. There is so much purification that does need to happen, and this does need to be understood. That when we're working in the realm of Tantra, we're constantly purifying. And we're purifying on the level of the body. We do this through yoga, through asana, through pranayama, through sacred sexual practices. We're purifying through the levels of the pranic body or the energy body, because the energy needs to be clean, and sexual energy, more than any other energy, can get really heavy, gunky, and kind of distorted. So we want to keep our energy clean. This is actually specifically what we can do through breath work and pranayama, hence the name pranayama. And there are many other energetic practices. A lot of what we do in Tantra are energetic practices to purify our energy body and get all of the pranas or energies flowing in a good way. So the idea with the pranic body is that we have all these different channels. They're called nadis in the tantric system. In the Taoist system, we would call them meridians, or in the Chinese medical system, same. So we have all these energetic pathways, and we have energies that flow inward, we have energies that flow outward, we have energies that flow upward, we have energies that flow downward. So we've got energies flowing in all these different directions. This is like the matrix of our energy body. And when these start to go wonky, we start to have all these different imbalances, and this is very true with our sexual energy. And, the whole basis of yoga and tantra is that we're finding this balance between our lunar and solar aspects. And there's two main nadis, Ida and Pingala, which are the lunar and solar nadis. And it is said that we need these in full balance, hence not too much, not too little. Again, we want these in balance so that Sushumna can open, the central channel, and the Kundalini can awaken in a harmonious environment. Because if it awakens in a non-harmonious environment where this the prerequisite purification and balancing hasn't taken place, this is a recipe for disaster. This is like blown circuits. So it's really important that we do these practices to purify the vessel. So we're purifying the body. We're doing that through diet. We're doing that through yoga and exercise, getting enough sunshine, being with the elements. This also nourishes the pranic body. We're doing this through pranayama. We're doing this through different practices that work with the flows of these energy systems. And then we're purifying also on the mental and emotional body as well. So this is very, very, very important when it comes to our sexual energy. This is where a lot of the distortion starts in, is that there's so much wrapped around our emotions, around our sexuality, and our mental body and our thought processes around our sexuality. I tend to find that most of the knots that need untying are actually in this level, and that trickles into the energy body and then into the physical body. That's really how it is. It's like our thought process. If you watch your thoughts throughout the day, it's like we have some negative thoughts or some like, I don't have enough time or whatever our story is, and all of a sudden the whole system and energy starts going into reaction to the thought process. So this is really where we need to unwind first, and it's really about softening. And one of the main things I do to start working with sexual energy is that we soften back and down into the body, and we really take a seat in our root energy in the body, and this helps the whole nervous system and the whole mental body and emotional body to just kind of settle and be with the physical body. So often there's a split between these two, and that's what has caused most of our problems in the split between sex and spirit, because here we're already going from the gross, which is the physical, to the more subtle in the emotional and mental body. What's next is coming our higher wisdom and our bliss body, or our spirit, our connection to spirit, to source, to the unlimited, right? So the physical is very limited. If you've ever dealt with illness or injury or anything like that, you understand the limitations of our physical form. And we're moving, when we move from sex to spirit, we're moving from limited to unlimited, right? Sex is what creates the matrix of our physical incarnation. And our physical incarnation is the vessel for us to liberate through these levels of energy. So we hit kind of this wall when we come to our emotional body and our mental body, and this is where we can do a lot of our healing. We find layers of guilt, we find layers of shame, and there's like a reconciliation that needs to take place here, and this is so far beyond just our own relationship to sex. This is about our very existence. Like, it is okay for me to exist. It is okay that I am a sexual being, that I am a spiritual being, that I am an emotional being, that I take up space, that, you know, I also have shadow aspects. It's like there's this greater acceptance of the whole of what it means to be human. And our humanity is literally the bridal chamber where sex and spirit meet. This is the next level of Tantra, and this is the reason that Tantra is becoming such a popular system nowadays, is that it really is liberating us into our humanity. Even when we attain enlightenment, which is a real thing, I'm quoting just because, you know, so few of us actually really get there. And I think a lot of it is this split, because we have to come into a totality with all parts of ourself, with all aspects of ourself, to really get there. But then once the flower blooms, once the flower of our consciousness blooms, we actually recognize the preciousness of life on a whole other level. It's not about getting away from life. There's no need for this split anymore. It's not working. It's not serving us. It's not serving our planet. We have to reconcile this split. This is it. We're already here, but there is something we need to bring down, and it is this spirit. It is the sacred, and we need to bring this down and marry it and merge it with our sexual energy, which is not just our procreative energy. It's what draws us into communion with others, even in non-sexual ways. It's what draws us to express, what brings out the artists of the world. It's like this energy is what creates the beauty of this existence. It is so sacred. It is so precious. And when it's aligned with, so we went through the emotional body and the mental body. So once those have kind of purified and we've reconciled our existence, we start to connect with what's called like the wisdom body. And this is that higher knowing. And this is that place where we can, you know, in the mental body, we start to see through this very narrow lens and we get caught in our perceptions. And every once in a while we have these moments where we see the bigger picture and it's like, oh, Oh my gosh. So that's where we start to see the preciousness and to move more slowly and to see how this energy wants to move in a good way and in a natural way. And once this energy starts to move in that good and natural way, which means not too much, not too little, not suppressed, not overly expressed where we're actually leaking this energy, but held in this precious way, shared in a very mindful and beautiful way, offered into creation through our art, through our creation of beauty, through love, through harmony, through all the good things, then spirit starts to open up. Then this trickling down of bliss starts to come and infuse us. And it's here that it's just like, it's literally like we're a flower that just all of a sudden bloomed and we get it. And there is a patience with this energy where we don't need to express this energy. We don't have this overwhelming desire to like have sex, or we need to take, or we need, we're no longer coming. We're full now. Now we're overflowing. Now it's like we get to share this energy with those that feels like a resonance with and a coherence, and we get to offer this energy in so many ways, but we steward this energy. When we're existing in this place, there's a stewardship. And so the dance of this energy, the play of this energy has so many forms. Sometimes it's very primal. Sometimes it's very playful. Sometimes it's very sweet. Sometimes it might even be a little wrathful. But it's total. The expression is total and natural as it is arising. And as it is in coherency with the external. Because this is also an important thing. What I often see in the expressive neo-tantra culture is I'm going to express my sexuality however I want, regardless of its impact on other. That's not it. When we start to enter into these higher realms, when the energy starts to move into those greater realms, we very much care about our impact on other. And our energy starts to move in harmony with other. We can no longer harm other. And also there's not this thirsty need to take from the other, to taste from the other, and then potentially discard. It's like there's a whole new potential that we can step into. So I could just literally keep going and going and going on this topic, because this is literally where we're at. We've been dancing between these two poles, and now as a humanity, we are working to find this place. And this is the place that we are going to find our divine stewardship as humanity on this planet. And we're going to stop abusing our planet, which is affecting all of life. And this is stemming from the same rupture between sex and spirit. So as we each heal this within ourselves, this heals the balance between the masculine and feminine within us, and then that heals our relationships on the outside, both with family, with friends, and particularly with our beloveds, with those who are the opposite sex or representative of the opposite sex. So like if we're in a same-sex partnership, there's still going to be a polarity play there. And so regardless of what our intimate relationships look like, this reconciliation is going to create more harmony in those relationships. And then our relationship with the animals, it's like we start to feel that, we can start to feel into the other more. So we feel the pain of the earth and we want to do more and do better. This generosity starts flowing through this energy. When this energy starts to flower in a natural way, it is one of the most beautiful things on earth. It is life itself. So thank you for tuning in with me here about the reconciliation about sex and spirit. This is one of my greatest passions. This is one of the main bases of my work, and all the ways that this energy can be expressed in this beautiful, total, holistic way. And So if you'd like to work with me, you can check out my online courses. You can reach out to me to work one-on-one with private mentorship. There's many different ways. So if this rang a bell and struck a chord and you feel like you want to go deeper on your own journey, I would love to be an ally for you on that. So just let me know. Reach out. Web link is below. And again, if this was just as much as you needed, just sip this nectar, and I hope that it rang the temple bell inside of you and brought inspiration as you move forward into this beautiful life that we get to live as humans, embodied in the flesh, filled with spirit. All right, my loves, thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned for the next Shakti Temple Talk.